also invest your money. But just before you get to that, there are conversations going on in the education sector. If you have to look at the front page of the Daily Nation, is why we won't be joining grade 10. These are children who sat the Kenya Junior Secondary Education Assessment. The outcome was released on the 11th of December 2025. They should be reporting to school today. Some are saying they don't have the school fees. Then you'll find there are many stories about the KCSE performance. There is also released on Friday last week, showing that 27% of the class scored a C+ and above, meaning they have the opportunity to join the universities directly. Then there are some 48.7% of the class that scored D+ and below. They're wondering what next. Some are choosing to go for some courses that do not require academic papers necessarily, but they would depend on the work of their hands. What are the options? And of course, Senator Kasanga, I begin with you because this is a crucial time for these learners. The number continues to rise of those that qualify to join the university. I think last year it was about 246. Previously, we used to do below 200,000. Now this year, 270,000 have been reported to have scored the minimum grade. But then the other hurdle is when it comes to selection of programs. I don't know if you take yourself back to that time you got your results from high school. What should these learners be concerned about as they make their choices?
Oh, thank you so much, Sam, for that. And let me start by congratulating all our young ones for sitting their exam and, you know, finding themselves in this very crucial stage in life where they're making life choices. I mean, for those who have scored C+ and above and are going to join the universities, of course, it's always, you know, wise to look out for what courses are there that will immediately put them into the job market when they are done with school. And just to comment on the ones who got D+ and below, because I saw the statistic of about 400,000. Yeah. I think roughly approximately 400,000 got D+ and below.
180.
Yes.
Thereabouts. Yeah.
Yeah, thereabouts. And, you know, the thing is, we also need them in the job market. These are the ones who we are encouraging through the TVET and the skills-based courses and things like that. And especially in the construction sector, you'll find that we really need these skills-based young people to join the job market. So it is truly commendable that we have seen the TVET sector also beginning to expand significantly and grow, both in the private and in the government sector, where we are seeing more and more people giving skills to these young people who then did not qualify to go to university. So all is not lost for that sector that is C+ and below, those who want to go to university. All is not lost. There's a lot of opportunity out there. And truly speaking, even from us as from a professional point of view, we are really waiting for them to gather those skills that are then there for them. And the opportunities are growing. I think the TVET space is truly, truly growing wider and wider with a wider range, array of possible courses that they can take to skill themselves up. And also, more importantly, for the young people, as you spend more and more time on the social media, it is also a good place to do some research on really what is out there. What are the potentials that are out there for you as you're looking for which skills then to upscale yourself so that you're able to find something to put bread and butter on the table. Yes. So I want to encourage them that it's not all lost out there. I know there's a lot of conversation about, you know, there's no jobs out there. I think there's a lot of that conversation that is in our media, our politicians, you know, going around and saying our young people have no jobs. Yeah. But I want to tell the young people, it is also an opportunity to really reinvent ourselves, reinvent yourselves. Look out there in other countries. What are young people doing to make it, you know, to raise some money for themselves every day? Look for some source of living. There are very many ways out there. It requires a lot of creativity and the use of technology increasingly. So I want to encourage them, congratulate those who will get to university, and for the other ones, the opportunity is there for them.
Okay. Engineer, help us here to understand, because back in the day, everyone who scored a good grade would have wanted to go that direction. Things are changing. There are those that will get a good grade, whether it's A+ or A-, and they think otherwise. Perhaps you can take the opportunity to help the candidate who has excelled on what it takes to make an engineer.
Thank you very much, Sam. Of course, let me join my colleague in congratulating all those who passed and all those who finished and got results. Because, you know, it's one thing to get into Form 1 and finish. It's another thing. Now, once you graduate and you're interested in a career in engineering, post Form 4, you need to go to the university, get into a program that is recognized by the Engineers Board of Kenya. And that is important because you are supposed to go through a 5-year training program if you're studying in Kenya. Outside Kenya, for instance, in the UK, you can do fewer number of years. But then when you go through the program, it is expected that you've acquired what we call graduate attributes. Graduate attributes indicate that you have met minimum requirements, gone through the training that includes natural sciences, and then how to apply science to solve problems of engineering nature. Then when you graduate, you are expected to go through a 3-year training period we call initial professional development under registered professionals who are professional engineers. Once you go through that, you acquire necessary experience. Then you have to sit what we call professional interview examination. And you sit through professional interview examination and you pass, then you become a licensed engineer to practice in this country. And this applies largely in very many other jurisdictions in the country because your members, we are signatories to Washington Accord and the International Engineering Alliance. So that is what it takes for you to become an engineer.
And before you start making money?
Well, of course, once you graduate, you can find your self-employment and start making money. But then you are considered a graduate engineer. And you are considered that you're supposed to go through a training before you become a licensed engineer, independent engineer who can make independent decisions as a professional.
Ephraim, as Senator here says that there are opportunities for people that do not meet the threshold to join the university. Perhaps in practice, how many are you seeing that graduates of TVET or technical institutions, and the pathways for persons that then score, especially D+ and below?
Thank you. As Senator Sylvia said, we have several people that students that also don't make it to the university, but the training through the TVET, and there's actually a very high campaign about establishment of the TVETs by the government. The training is the training itself. There are so many, like in the built environment, there are so many. You see, we are talking about shortage of specialists. We're talking about shortage of technicians. We're talking about shortage of plumbers. The focus has been, it's unfortunate that the focus for the universities has been degrees and all these other things. But when you talk about plumbers, when you go to day to day, we supervise projects. And one thing that you'll realize that is getting professional technicians, for instance, there's a very high shortage of technicians. And what we'd encourage is that them that have not been able to score the marks to go to the university, they can be able to go and do some of these trainings. We've seen that the focus, of course, and we would say that it's like a misconception, or it's something that has been in the world that brought that you have to go to the university or you have to go to make it in life. But we have very many people in the industry that are also making it through these technical trainings, and so the encouragement to the TVET especially is that. Let us have more focus on the TVETs, unlike focusing on just going to the university, so that you can also be able to get trained specialists and technicians that can be able to do our project. Because as professionals here, we will design, we'll do the part of the design, and that is where we need to make it correct. The architect will design, the structural engineer will also do the structural integrity of the building. But also when it comes to now the ACU implementation, there are those people, we have masons, we have electricians, we have carpenters, we have plumbers that are supposed to implement the design that has been designed by the professionals. And that is an area that the construction industry, for instance, I would say it has been falling short, and we need to encourage our young ones that are also not privileged to go to university to take up that opportunity and train so they can be able to complete the cycle of construction process from the design to implementation. Yes.
Perhaps you could have helped us to understand also what it takes to make a construction manager.
Construction management, and this takes me back in the year 2002 when I joined Jomo Kenyatta University. Construction management as a profession was rolled out in the year 2002, and it was brought in to bring the gap in the construction industry, somebody that can be able to coordinate the process of construction, who can be able to link the client or the developer and professionals. I find that the role of the construction manager is to plan, to coordinate, and to be able to also coordinate with the other professionals to budget and oversee the overall execution of the project. And the professionals that we are working with in the industry will appreciate that, for instance, an architect has to focus on the architectural design and the supervision of implementation of the same. The engineer, the quantity surveyor, but there was a gap that was missing that needs to link the entire process of construction. Right. And this is where the construction manager comes in to be able to coordinate that entire process from the inception through design, through tendering, implementation, construction, and handing over. So we come in to be able to make sure that the project is implemented, coordinating all the stakeholders in the project. Okay. The clients, we have the consultants, even the end user. Yes. Okay, that's interesting, and of course we'll get to the details when we get to that conversation. QS, help us as well, because like I said, the young people are home. We've seen them, those that were interviewed saying, I want to study medicine, I want to study engineering, or whatever other course that they are talking about. Your thoughts of, if you take yourself back to at that time, what they should be considering, and looking also at the opportunities, because we hear more and more, like Senator was saying, they've qualified, no jobs. How should the thinking be right now?
Thank you for that question. I think the one thing that our young people need to realize, and which I think they have, is that they are global citizens. And their thinking cannot just be limited to the borders of Kenya. Mm-hmm. They need to start thinking, where is the world moving to? What in the job market, what is more required? What do we need skills? What sort of skills do we need? And begin to align themselves, because you can provide those skills here or you can provide them elsewhere. And so that you're not limited to just our boundaries and within the country. Of course, the bigger number of those who passed that you refer to, and that were passed, and there are those who finished and got grades that did not pass, in the sense that they could not make it to the cut-off grade to university. Yeah. But it's all not lost even on the other ones, because what we've done as a country is at some point, I think must have been early 2000, when we sort of commercialized, opened up the university space. Mm-hmm. And we began what we called Module 2, and began to admit very many university students. Mm-hmm. And I remember then someone saying, we are walking the journey that Nigeria did. Because at that point, in Nigeria, a first degree had very little value. And to start speaking of a job and be able to compete competitively, you have to have a master's and above. And I think we've gotten to that point where we've produced so many graduates. Of course, there are not so many. It is in relation to our economy and the space that we have as a country. Such that not so long ago, there was an advert for interns, and there was someone who applied with a doctorate. Mm-hmm. You can see that, and that's what I'm saying. The young people must start to look at the world, because the way the world is going, a lot of it has also not been, we are not moving slightly away from academics into skills-based. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what sort of skills? And these skills do not necessarily need to come through a degree program. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, and what does it take to make a QS?
Well, to make a QS, you have to pass well in sciences and mathematics, and then choose the degree. It's we are basically cost consultants, so there's a lot of mathematics in it. We are contract managers. There's quite a bit of law in it, so we sort of are the ones to administer the contracts for construction, and we are the ones to provide cost consultancy in construction projects. So to be a QS and a good one, then you have to have those set of skills. You're well-grounded in the STEM subjects, and then the legal bit you gain as you go through campus because you taught a lot of law and interpretation of contracts.
Okay.
Yes.
So your bachelor's degree would be what?
Bachelor of Quantity Surveying.
Quantity surveying.
Yeah, but back then when I went to university, it was done in Nairobi University only, and it used to be Bachelor's of Building Economics.
Okay.
Which after 4 years, which is still the case of study, you'd get out and you'd work under a registered person, licensed person, for about 24 months, and then you'd sit another exam, a government exam, to be able to be registered and licensed to be a quantity surveyor. So in total, you do about 7 years before you can call yourself a quantity surveyor.
7 years.
Yes.
All right. Now, that is important because, yes, we are talking about the transition for the KCSE class of 2025, but it's important so that you also know the people that you'll be involving in your construction work, what do they have to go through so that also you don't get yourself, should I say it? Anyway, let's take a break. When I come back, we'll be talking about what we've been witnessing in the construction industry and those concerns and what you must do as you get about it. Stay tuned for that.